All right, let's dive in. Most of us have gotten used to AI that we can talk to, right? You ask ChatGPT a question, it gives you an answer. But what if AI could do a whole lot more than just talk? That's what we're exploring today, Agentic AI. These are systems that don't just find you answers, they actually take action.
So think about it. We use AI to get information all the time. But just imagine if that same AI could then take the next step and act on that info for you. This is the huge shift we're talking about, moving from a passive tool that just gives you stuff to an active partner that gets things done.
And this, right here, really gets to the heart of it. Generative AI is kind of like a brilliant researcher. It finds the best flight options for you. But Agentic AI, that's your own hyper-efficient personal assistant. It doesn't just find the options, it books the flight, sticks it on your calendar, and even arranges for a car when you land. It's the difference between getting a list and waking up to find your entire trip to Tokyo is good to go.
So let's get into our first big idea, AI that does things. And look, this isn't just some small technical upgrade. We're talking about a whole new frontier for how businesses run and how we get things done. We're moving AI from being a suggestion engine to an action engine.
So what is Agentic AI really? Well, at its core, it's an AI that's built to act on a goal. It uses its intelligence to think through a problem, decide on the best plan of attack, and then actually execute the steps to make it happen. And a lot of the time, it does this with very little human handholding.
So why is everyone, especially in the business world, so excited about this? Well, the benefits are pretty huge. First, you've got this massive boost in efficiency by automating all those routine tasks. Imagine an agent that just processes every single invoice, no humans needed. That leads to faster resolution times where an agent can triage customer support tickets in real time. All of this, of course, means major cost savings. And maybe coolest of all, it can power personalization on a scale we've just never seen before.
Okay, but how do these things actually work? How do they go from a simple request to a completed task? In this next part, let's kind of peek under the hood and look at the core building blocks of an AI agent.
The best way to think about it is like you have this super-powered digital intern. The large language model, the LLM, that's the brain. It does all the thinking and reasoning. The tools, those are its hands. These are things like APIs that let the agent connect to your email, your calendar, your company's software, whatever it needs to actually do stuff. And finally, the prompts, those are the instructions. That's you telling your intern what the goal is and what rules it needs to follow along the way.
Now, it's really important to know that not all agents are created equal. You can have these simpler workflows that are great for basic rule-based tasks. Or you can have a single agent for more dynamic problems. You can even have multi-agent systems where different AIs actually team up to tackle really complex stuff. But here's the catch. Notice that trade-off? The more autonomous the agent gets, the more complex it becomes to manage and govern it. And that's key.
And this quote just captures that potential perfectly. The opportunity is absolutely massive. But, and this is a big but, giving AI this much power and autonomy introduces a whole new world of challenges. Let's talk about the risks. So what happens when these agents go wrong? Because when an AI can act on its own in the real world, its mistakes are no longer just some weird text on a screen. No, they have real, actual consequences.
This image of an emergency brake, it's the perfect metaphor. You absolutely need a way to stop things from going off the rails. When an AI can mess with your databases or manage your finances, a single error can lead to real money lost or your operations grinding to a halt. The ability to act is also the ability to make a huge mess.
And this is the core of the problem. Unlike a simple chatbot, an agent's mistakes can cascade. A tiny error in step 1 can snowball into a total disaster by the end of the task. And the scariest part? You can't always predict these failures before you let the system loose.
Here is a perfect and, frankly, pretty terrifying example. A user gives a casual instruction, something like, "Hey, get rid of this record." And the agent, trying to be helpful, interprets that in the most literal, destructive way possible and deletes an entire database table. This isn't some made-up sci-fi risk. It's a real failure that developers are already seeing.
So where exactly do things break down? Well, failures can pop up at any stage. The agent could just create a bad plan right from the start. Or it could have the right plan, but then use one of its tools incorrectly. Or it could have a perfect plan and still mess up the execution, leading to all sorts of unintended consequences or data leaks.
Okay, so how do we actually use all this power safely? We need to build in an off switch. This whole next section is about creating the necessary safeguards, the governance and the detection systems that let us innovate with confidence instead of fear.
The biggest technical solution here is something called real-time failure detection. The best way to think of it is like an automated supervisor that's constantly watching the AI agent. It knows what to look for, and if it sees any behavior that's unusual or dangerous, it has the authority to hit that emergency brake, either by stopping the agent cold or calling for a human to step in and take a look.
And the process itself is pretty straightforward, but it's incredibly powerful. First, you monitor everything the agent does. Second, you have a system that's trained to spot anomalies, any actions that are unexpected or just plain out of bounds. And third, as soon as an anomaly gets flagged, the system automatically stops the whole process or sends an alert for a human to review. Simple, but effective.
But look, technology by itself is never enough. We also need really strong governance principles. We have to make sure there's always human accountability in the loop. We need transparency so we can actually see and understand what the system is doing. It demands that safety and reliability are baked in from the very beginning. And of course, it has to protect user privacy and keep data secure, period.
And all of this brings us to our final big idea: autonomy with intent. The future isn't about just unleashing uncontrollable AI and hoping for the best. It's about building incredibly capable systems that operate with a clear purpose and within very clear boundaries.
It's so easy to think you have to choose between moving fast and being safe, but that's a false choice. The real goal, the true mark of success here, is to build systems that are both unbelievably powerful and fundamentally trustworthy.
This quote just nails the endgame. When you get the technology, the governance, and the safety measures all working together in harmony, Agentic AI stops being just a cool, shiny experiment. It becomes a core, reliable capability that a business can truly depend on for years to come.
So make no mistake, the age of autonomous agents is coming. The most important question isn't if we're going to use them, we are. The real question is, how are we going to design, build, and govern them to make absolutely sure that when they act, they're acting with our best interests at heart? Thanks so much for joining me.